Hi, everyone. This is John Grosso with Realty Shares. Thank you, everyone, for joining this exclusive Q&A with Mike Benarski, partner and co-founder of Broome Capital. Before we get started, I'd like to provide some requisite disclosures here to investors, so bear with me for the next few moments. We are not attorneys, CPAs, or financial advisors. The purpose of this webinar is not to advise investors, but rather provide an opportunity for investors to speak directly with the managing sponsor of the investment, Broome Capital. Please know that all forward-looking statements are subject to uncertainty and not guaranteed. While all assumptions are believed to be reasonable, all of these assumptions are subject to uncertainty. Lastly, please know that the investment we will discuss today is an illiquid investment into real property, and you should be prepared to hold on to this investment for the long term. There is no secondary market for this investment, and there is no current liquidity for this investment. This investment is not insured by the FDIC, nor is it guaranteed by Realty Shares. It may lose some or all of its value. Now that we have that out of the way, I'd like to dive into some details on this investment opportunity. This is a preferred equity investment in a 23 townhome development in Reynoldstown, Georgia, about 3 miles east of downtown Atlanta. The sponsor seeks to capitalize on the reurbanization of this part of Atlanta as well as broadly city cores and develop the 23 townhome units which will be sold to individual owners. Broome's long-term strategy is to pursue development opportunities in Class A infill locations in secondary and tertiary U.S. markets, primarily in the Sun Belt, which boasts strong employment and economic fundamentals. A little bit of background about the sponsor. Broome principals currently own and operate over 600 residential and commercial properties in the Tampa Bay area. The principals have been vetted and raised up to $75 million from institutional investors to pursue other residential strategies and have developed an institutional platform to execute real estate acquisitions. They have also previously been involved in development of over 1,500 apartment and condominium units throughout the Tampa Bay area with a combined project value exceeding $250 million. We're excited to have Broome on the platform for a third time with Realty Shares, and we look forward to continuing to building a great relationship and sourcing great deal flow. Before turning it over to Mike to discuss the opportunity at further length, I wanted to provide just a few points about this investment. The projected term of the investment is approximately 2 years. Preferred return for this investment is 8% current pay, and investors will receive quarterly distributions. Additionally, there is an 8% accrued preferred return paid from unit sales. Please note that if you're interested, make sure to complete your investment online at realtyshares.com in your earliest convenience. Additionally, we would like to remind you to please read all the investor documents and risk disclosures before investing in this opportunity. Please note, once we are finished with the beginning portion of this webinar, we'll be happy to answer any questions to ensure that you walk away from this Q&A feeling more informed about the investment opportunity, and we will do our best to answer any questions that you may have. With that said, I'd like to turn it over to Mike to introduce himself and talk a little bit more about the opportunity. Mike?
Thank you, Mark, for the intro, and thank you for having me on this webinar. So as Mark mentioned, I'm one of the founders and principals of Broome Capital. I'll give you a quick background about Broome Capital and dive into our investment thesis as well as the deal. Myself, I come from an operational background. I'm second generation in the real estate investment development business. My family's been investing and developing real estate for over 35 years in Florida. I have personally a track record of about 15 years in the real estate space, and between the partners, as you've mentioned, Mark, we've developed over 1,500 institutional multifamily condos and rentals in Florida. We own and manage about $90 million of residential properties, and we've raised capital through various sources to execute our deals. We've raised small private equity funds. We've partnered with public REITs as institutions. We've had family offices as investors. So really, we've done it all. We've also, raised a few realty shares, crowd funds for the single-family business that have been very successful. In terms of our track record, we've had a very strong track record, particularly over the last few years. On our first single-family fund exit that we did, we're essentially netting about a 2x multiple to our investors there, or 2 current development deals that we're doing, and finishing here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Sarasota. Those are going to be over 2x multiple as well to our investors. So we're really excited about this thesis. I think the upside has been pretty tremendous for us. Our investors have been pretty happy, and we're excited to continue with it in the Atlanta market. Just to elaborate on your thesis, Mark, or on our thesis that you mentioned, Mark, about the development strategy. As you said, we're really trying to capitalize on this massive urbanization trend in your secondary markets in the Southeast. We're based out of Tampa, but we're doing deals in Tampa Bay, Orlando, Sarasota. This is our first deal in Atlanta that we're excited about. You have this massive migration of these 2 large demographic cohorts, your baby boomers and your Gen Y, that's trying to live in your city centers around all the retail, the nightlife, the employment. They're tired of driving 30 to 45 minutes to get to work. So we're trying to capitalize on that trend, as are a lot of groups. However, the way we distinguish ourselves relative to, say, the multifamily rental product developers, the home builders, the condo players, is that we deliver an infill townhome product. Fee simple townhome. It's usually about, on average, 3 stories, although sometimes we have a 2-story product. And we're in these same locations that the urban multifamily luxury developers are building that I mentioned. To give you an idea, usually deal sizes are between 1 and 3 acres. Reason being is because that allows us to kind of operate under the radar and get a better basis for our land. So we're not competing with those condo and multifamily players for the 4, 5, and 6 acre parcels in these locations. We can buy an acre such as this one and develop 23 to 30 townhomes and get at a great basis and really increase our returns. One of the biggest, the most important things to know about this thesis is the value proposition that it offers relative to the rentals, to these 2 large demographic cohorts. So, if you think about it, you have all these rentals coming online. In this market, for example, in this rental town market of Atlanta, you have rental products renting for around, call it, $2,200 to $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom that's about 1,000 to 1,300 square feet. And whereas what we offer is really an alternative to that sort of product that gives you more space. So we have about our townhomes range from anywhere from 1,700 to 2,000 to 2,300 square feet. This project, the average size here is about 1,900 square feet, and you get a lot more square footage, but your actual payments for your mortgage payments are only about $1,700 a month. Which and with your fully loaded housing expense, you're only at $2,200 a month, relative to that $2,200 to $3,000 a month for your luxury rental product. So I think we've had a tremendous response from buyers that really want to move on out of the rentals. These are typically singles getting together, getting married, forming households. They want more space. They still want to be in these infill sort of locations, but they want that space, they want that privacy, and we offer them that for essentially as much or less than what they're paying for in their apartment. So that kind of sums it up, what we're trying to achieve here and develop across Southeast.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Much appreciated. I guess what we'll just dive straight into some of the questions that were submitted. to us by investors ahead of this webinar. As this is one of the first residential development deals on the platform, as realty shares, investors may be a bit unfamiliar with the benefits and conversely the risks associated with investing in a ground-up development. Mike, if you wouldn't mind touching on the appeal of sort of the newly built townhome in a market like Atlanta, maybe expand a little bit upon what you just touched on previously, and maybe just the asset class in general and why it is an attractive from an investor's perspective.
Sure. So maybe I'll start on a higher level and kind of narrow down in on the location, on the product. Answering questions is, why we chose a submarket, why we chose Atlanta as a market, why we like this location and this townhome product in this location. For one, as you probably know, Mark, Atlanta is an extremely strong market. So this is first and foremost one of the things that attracted us to expand into Atlanta market. It's essentially the economic powerhouse of the Southeast. You have 10 major colleges and universities, such as Georgia Tech, UGA, Emory. Atlanta has 20 of the Fortune 500 companies out there. About I think it's 30 to 33 of the top Fortune 1,000 companies out there, such as Pulte Homes, which recently relocated to Atlanta. I know GE is also looking to relocate to Atlanta and in discussions with the city of Atlanta. So Atlanta has a lot of very favorable sort of demographic, employment, and economic trends. It's number 2 for job growth. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. So just all around, it was actually one of the most attractive markets for us that we're pursuing. This product and project is located in a submarket of Atlanta and within the perimeter called Reynoldstown. Reynoldstown is one of the most attractive neighborhoods in Atlanta right now. And typically the way we go about our site selection, if you look at the areas that we really pursue in any of our markets, we're only pursuing about 3 to 5% of the market. Whether it's Sarasota, Tampa, Atlanta, it doesn't matter. We're really trying to find these prime locations that these older millennials, these Gen Xers, and these baby boomers want to live in. Again, around all the retail, the nightlife, and employment. So Reynoldstown is just that. It's about 10 to 12 minutes away from downtown Atlanta. It's about 15 minutes away from Midtown. Surprisingly, actually, I found that Curbed voted it the neighborhood of the year last year, and a lot of those votes came from the public. So it is I guess at this point the top neighborhood and one of the most desirable neighborhoods to live in. You have all these cool boutique shops around there, restaurants, retail, if you don't know that submarket. So very attractive, your typical, ideal for your typical young working professional couples that work in downtown or midtown, have, high-paying jobs. They're in their later 20s and 30s. We actually see a lot of divorcees, surprisingly, whereas originally our target market has, we've really been focusing on baby boomers and these younger working professional couples. We've actually found that the divorcee demographic is very strong. I mean, and we've seen this on other projects that we've done in Florida, where you have divorcees coming in and they want to live back where the action is. They're single. They want to be close to all the retail nightlife. So that's been a huge demand driver for us as well. This particular location of Reynoldstown, it's located right on Moreland Avenue, just a few blocks actually away from one of Graystar's institutional mixed-use projects. It's about 285 units. They have about 16,000 square feet of retail going in. I believe last time I checked, half of that was pre-leased, and they're leasing it pretty quickly. Graystar is under construction on that project. They should be done, I believe, third quarter of next year. So that's always great to have, one, to know that you have a multifamily urban player also, strongly believing in a location and developing their product in it with pretty high rents, but it also creates more critical mass in the area for us. So it's always nice to have these urban multifamily guys around. Just a few blocks west of our site, you have the MARTA station, which is Atlanta's, I guess, public railroad and transportation. It's actually becoming much more utilized and much more popular. Atlanta is really trying to focus on becoming this transit-oriented sort of city and transit-focused city. So you have a lot of projects trying to build around, and developers trying to build around the MARTA stations. You also have, really to us, it's probably the best and most attractive amenity to this project, which is the Beltline. And the Beltline is a former railway corridor within the perimeter of Atlanta. And the city of Atlanta has essentially taken that corridor and has been redeveloping it into a very cool amenity. This it's essentially a jogging trail, has a lot of green space, similar to what you would see in New York with the High Line. So that has also been just a huge plus for the Chelsea community in New York. And we're just seeing real estate exploding around the Atlanta Beltline. So that's just a few blocks to the west of us, which is exciting. And then just for convenience sake, you have a shopping center just kitty corner from us. So home buyers can even walk if they want to the shopping center, and which has a Target, a Best Buy, a Kroger. So that's always good to have that sort of retail in proximity. Mark, you mentioned about the the townhome product itself, and why. What are the benefits of investing? Investing in a townhome product? Why somebody would want to invest in townhomes? Why would people want to live here? And from our perspective, being involved in really various asset classes, we feel that for-sale housing has one of the best risk-adjusted returns out there. You've had a lot of pent-up demand over the last 7-8 years in the housing space. Not a lot of product has been delivered to the housing space until just last few years. There definitely hasn't been enough infill product delivered to meet all the this urban sort of housing demand. So that's to us, we see that as a huge risk mitigant, just on a more macro level. One of the other kind of important things that we look at too is understanding pricing and where townhome and the residential sector is going in terms of pricing and valuations is really affordability and income. We look at comps when we're underwriting deals, but we really want to understand what's driving those comps and what's going to be driving any sort of future demand and upside appreciation. And one of the things that we've noticed was that the pendulum essentially swung the other way, away from too far towards multifamily, where multifamily rents have been increasing drastically. They're getting pretty expensive, and I guess the affordability, we've hit sort of affordability inflection point here, where it's actually becoming a great value to buy. So again, that's why we've heavily focused on a for-sale product. We think that affordability component gives us a lot of downside protection. Historically, incomes and values and incomes are highly correlated, as well as affordability. So, Atlanta as well as markets like Tampa are considered highly affordable. So this is a huge plus for us. In Atlanta, what's nice about this market relative to some of the other ones that we focus on is essentially the incomes. The incomes are actually really high here, which means that we think that there's a lot of room for growth in this sort of townhome product. Household income essentially really only needs to make about, I think I did the math, about $93,000 to afford our product. And you think about your average sort of graduates coming out of school in Georgia or relocating from other markets. I mean, they're making entry level $50,000 or so each. That already covers a unit like this. And that actually brings up a good point that I forgot to mention, is that one of the reasons that this is a fee simple product and we actually go through the replanning process is because it makes it much more liquid. So we don't structure these as condos like some of the other townhome projects that we see. We structure these as fee simple townhomes, which essentially just means that you own all the land, the unit, and the air rights above you. It's just like owning a single family home, except it's attached. This really allows buyers to tap into a lot of mortgage products out there with very low down payments. Unlike the condos, we don't have to go through all the layers of red tape with the agencies. It's you can put 3% or 5% down and purchase a townhome just like you would a regular single-family home. So with this demographic that tends to be younger, tend to have good credit, good income, that becomes very critical for our strategy because they don't usually have huge down payments to put down for housing, the 10 to 20% or more down payments that you would need for, let's say, condo products. So that just continues to increase our buyer pool, and of course our buyer pool and expanding that buyer pool is definitely something that we're really focused on here. So that's a critical risk mitigant for us. And I guess that's it. I mean, that kind of sums up the major sort of downside protection risks and the appeal of the product and asset class that we see, and we've really been analyzing on our end.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Why don't you dive a little bit into specifically more on the location and where it is in relation to Atlanta, why you like this area, versus maybe some other small, suburbs that are sort of right outside the Atlanta CBD as well.
So again, the critical factors that we look at in choosing a neighborhood are, where is everybody experiencing their nightlife? Where do they want to go out to have drinks? Where do they want to go out to eat? Where are the cool stores? How far does it take them to get to work? And this is just one of the various neighborhoods within the Atlanta perimeter that has all those factors. This one's attractive because it's not as expensive as some of the other more obvious locations like Buckhead that tend to have much more expensive real estate, higher priced housing. I would say this is probably on the fifth inning, call it the gentrification curve. So it's still a diverse sort of submarket. You can have a $200,000 house next to a $500,000 bungalow, adjacent to each other in these neighborhoods. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we are. So, but that also allows us to be able to get a better land basis to deliver a product that's in the 300s to lower 400 price point, which is a very, very palatable expense and product for households in the Atlanta market. So that was one of the main things that was attractive to us. And I already talked about some of the other interesting factors and points of interest around our location, such as the Beltline and MARTA, which are highly attractive. You do have a lot of residential, single-family residential to immediately to the west of us. And like I said, what you're seeing there is it's always good to be in a market in a gentrifying area where you have a lot of knockdowns and tear downs and rebuilds. So, or just rehabs of much older product out there and selling for pretty high price points. So we are seeing just that. We're seeing homes being torn down and rebuilt, and these old bungalows that are about 1,900 square feet selling for in the $500,000 range. That gives us a lot of comfort that we can deliver our product at our price point. The difference between a townhome versus a single-family detached home and why somebody would want a townhome is primarily twofold. One is you don't have to deal with the maintenance issues. If you think about it, a lot of these, whether it's baby boomers or these young working professional couples, they're at the stage of their lives where they don't want to deal with the maintenance of owning a home. They want to go out, they're working a lot, so they tend to prefer a more urban style home and without the burden of having maintenance that you would in a single family home. That's probably why you don't see a lot of your mature households that have families and kids that go through the schooling system. So we don't actually see any of those sorts of buyers in within our products, which is fine. We're still targeting. It's just a different sort of target market that we don't pursue. But that tends to be the primary difference there.
Great, thanks, Mike. Why don't we dive a little bit into the development timeline? Maybe talk about your experience there and sort of your comfort level with the delivery time frame, and then also discuss maybe a little bit about the sales schedule and some of the plans for marketing the units.
Sure. So we have been diligencing this particular project for about 8 months now. We've done everything from all of your environmental reports that have passed. We've gone through the entitlement process and got the site plan approvals. We've done all the market research that has checked out. We've assessed all the different comps out there and identified and lined up our GCs and have good cost numbers to be able to rely on to make sure that we stay within budget. So we've been working on this for 8 months. We're closing here in the very near future on the land, and we start construction about a few months after we close on the land. So we expect to be underway here beginning of next year. The projects that we do, because they're smaller in nature, they tend to be within under 2-year projects, so anywhere from 18 to 24 months, sort of get in, get out, quick turnaround development projects, which is why they generate higher returns. So that's the actual timeline component. In terms of sales, the way we structure our sales program is it's really, parallels what a condo developer would do. So we consider ourselves operationally as a home builder. So we're more like a home builder building out this project in phases, and usually all of our projects are about 3 phases. This one will be 3 phases as well, and that becomes actually very attractive for us because we're able to deliver the project in conjunction with the response that we get and the absorption levels that we get from home buyers. So we don't have to build it out all at once. With a multifamily product or the condo product, once you start, you can't stop. We don't have that sort of risk element. We can take a few months longer if we need to. We can accelerate if we have to. Our credit facilities, we have revolving credit facilities to give us that flexibility to do that. So if absorption is really strong, we can accelerate the construction and start phase 2 or phase 3 sooner. So that being said, we have in terms of our sales program, we do a lot of pre-sale marketing. So we have a local one agent per project. So we have a local agent here that has a lot of experience. Is from Atlanta, has a lot of experience in the Atlanta market. So a few of the qualities that we look for in these agents are, for one, they have to have some sort of new construction or home builder experience. We want somebody that has dealt with new construction, with GCs, with all the collaboration, interaction between the homeowner, the GC, the upgrade process. So that's a critical quality for us. They have a lot of experience just selling general real estate here, so what these households are willing to pay for in these infill locations and where they want to live. And then they actually just get the product. This particular agent, Pam, that we're using, she lives in this market. She knows it well. She has a lot of ties to the neighborhood, and she'll really be a huge cheerleader for this project to help us to market it. But in terms of the marketing process, what we do is we have an agent per project. We have a pre-sale marketing phase where we just generate a lot of buzz before we actually release prices. That's usually about 30 to 60 days. Then after about 60 days, we go ahead and release prices. We start construction around about the same time frame and begin taking pre-sale commitments and deposits and contracts. And we do that one phase at a time again, just so we can push prices. So we'll release phase 1, we'll sell that out, and then we'll release prices on sales 2. Of course, we'll manage our prices, and we'll try to push them as much as we can to maximize the return of the deal. And that's pretty much it. And we have a great marketing team through a third-party brokerage out there, Crestview Realty Group, that has experience in this product. We put all the websites together, the flyers, and we make it look very attractive, similar to, again, what you would see in a luxury condo project.
Great, thanks, Mike. Would you mind diving into some of the other sort of new construction in the area, any competitive properties or competitive threats you see to the sales and execution of this strategy?
Sure. So on a higher level, we, with our internal market analysis and really a lot of the market analysis you see out there, you actually have a lot more demand for infill housing product than there is supply. These are already built out locations. They're very infill. From our perspective, we always find more of a challenge finding the right piece of land at the right price, more so than absorbing the deal. I don't think we'll ever be able to buy enough good pieces of land like this to meet the absorption demands of these infill locations, unfortunately. But so we've always been we're very confident in the actual absorption levels and the demand out there to meet the supply. In terms of competition, we also definitely look at that as well. Just to the west of us, you have a townhome project called Moda, and they're a little bit different. They're delivering a contemporary product similar to what we try to focus on. And they're actually under construction and have been getting pre-sales there as we speak. They've been getting some pretty strong pre-sales. We feel that we're better positioned than Moda because, one, as I mentioned a little bit before, we actually go through the replatting process to make these fees simple. Moda just went with condo structure, so their units are condo-based, which eliminates a lot of buyers in the space. So that distinguishes us that way. For us, we always focus on having side-by-side garages, which is to us very critical. Moda has in-tandem garages, which to us we view as a huge hassle. I think a lot of households view as a huge hassle to have an in-tandem garage where you have to pull out and have your spouse pull out for you just so you can back out of the garage. So that gives us a leg up on that particular project. And finally, we have more exposure. We're right on Moreland. It's great to have a site where you have good traffic count, so you can actually get great exposure. When people drive by the site and they see a lot of construction, they see the signage, they get interested, they call, and it just creates a lot more buzz around the project. Moda's kind of tucked away behind the rail system, which is a less an inferior location. And you see it in a price. I mean, they're selling out in the upper hundreds a square foot. The one call it 180s, upper 170s, 180s, so maybe the 190s a square foot on their project. And that's actually what we were using to underwrite our project. So we're trying to be conservative with our product and our underwriting. We're underwriting to deliver in the lower around the 190 square foot range. So that's one project that we thoroughly examined. We have another project across the street. It's a small townhome project. It's actually an inferior product. It's right on Hardy. We just call it Hardy Townhomes. It's an inferior product. It's more traditional, simpler. The construction's inferior. And they've actually had strong sales there. They've sold out of their project in around a $215 square foot range, literally across the street on Moreland Avenue. But that's been fully absorbed, so that's not really a threat to us. We have another project that we view as an immediate competition, which is the Access Townhomes, just about 3 minutes north of us. And they're nearly fully sold out. They are on the last phase. They've actually pushed their prices on the last phase at around $225 a square foot, right around $220 to $225. So by the time we actually commence construction, they will be all sold out or nearly sold out. So not a lot of direct competition in our immediate area. The Atlanta market as a whole does have a few townhome developers and players out there. But again, I mean, you can drive all of your comps and your competition within a few hours. It's just for the scale of the market that this is, there's just not enough product out there.
Thanks, Mike. I think just in closing, if there's any sort of general risks you would like to discuss, or any items that we have not covered that you'd like to disclose to our investors or educate them about this particular opportunity, feel free to do so, and then we'll have closing words shortly thereafter.
Sure. So the main risks that we always look at, and that really the most investors look at that we talk to or that we do deals with are, one is absorption, and are we actually going to be selling this product, and why we think so. And again, I mentioned, we're underwriting 190s, around 190s per foot, and we already have comps trading for in 215 and 225 range, so we have plenty of upside, and if we need to be more conservative with our pricing to move product, we have that sort of cushion. Construction cost creep and the volatility and uncertainty of construction costs is obviously a huge risk in a development space, particularly when it comes to housing in the current environment with construction costs increasing as we've all seen what they've been doing. That's always a large risk that we try to mitigate and assess, and the way we're mitigating that one is actually the GC that we're using is the same GC that the competition used, Access Townhomes that I mentioned just a few minutes away. They're a great GC. They do a lot of residential product. They understand how to control costs and deal with tighter margins. So they're going to be the GC on this project, and we have all the cost numbers there to be able to get comfortable with what we think and what we underwrote our cost steps. And then finally, leverage is always can always impact and always does impact the risk profile of the deal. I think it's important to understand the type of leverage that we use. We have different options out there for leverage, as all developers do. And there's one scenario where we can get a traditional construction loan, let's say from a national regional bank at 80% LTC, and build out the whole project. That increases the returns, but to us, it also increases the risk profile of the deal. We don't get traditional construction loans. We don't leverage up the deals. We try to stay conservative. So what we do is we just get a revolving credit facility that equates to about 50% of the total project cost, and it's just essentially a builder line that we draw on. We build a phase out, we draw on it, and then we pay it back down with the sales, and we redraw on it again. We pace ourselves. And that's important to know because, like I said, it really reduces the risk profile of the project. And we're essentially using the equity from the sales rather than leveraging up a deal.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Want to thank Mike again for his time today and discussing this investment. Once again, if you're interested in this opportunity, please log on to realtyshares.com and complete your investment, as we will be closing this investment out as soon as possible. Mike, any other closing words?
Yeah, just I guess to wrap things up. Again, thank you guys for letting me participate in this webinar. We're definitely excited to have the Realty Shares investors on board on this project and potentially many more projects across the Southeast. We're very excited about this deal. Like I said, I think we're getting at a very desirable land basis. It is a distressed deal, so we're getting it's a short sales transaction, so we'll get an excellent basis on the land. I talked about it's a supply-demand imbalance of urban infill product that we're confident will just really support not only our pricing but the upside of our sales prices. And yeah, we're just excited to have our development team execute the project for all of the investors.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate your time. To all those out there listening, please feel free to ask any additional questions that you may have at contact@realtyshares.com. We're looking forward to seeing you invest in this opportunity. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.